because next time you guys see a video on this bike, we will be riding it somewhere. Kind of looks like an egg. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It and Break It. My name's Andrew, and today, I promise, is the last episode of our Project HyperTenere Yamaha R6 build, at least for a while. I want to get this thing done, out of here, on the road, so I can enjoy it and get other projects in here. Which means we got to do a lot of little stuff. Right now, we're waiting on some parts to come in for our foot controls so that we can finish those up. But we have plenty of space and plenty of stuff to do up here on front to tie this over while that stuff comes in. Okay, so we're gonna start up here on our light system. So a couple episodes ago, a little bit back, we figured out how we wanted this light system to work, and it had fabricated it all. If you want to see that design, go ahead and check here. Is it this side? Hopefully it's that side. But what this does, unfortunately, is when we hook it up, we have this huge mass of wires that connects our main engine harness, or our main harness that goes back to our computer, up here to our dash, and our lights, and our turn signals, and everything else. And this looks really ugly, and we want to hide it away as best as we can. And there's really only one good spot for it, and that's somewhere in this area of the bike. This is also the area of the bike that's going to take us the longest to finish up, because I'm not sure how I want this front fairing to kind of sit up. So I've got a couple options here. In fact, there's kind of originally designed to work together. What we've got is I've got this little piece. This is a kind of a tray. This is supposed to be what hides the wiring, and I'm already seeing a problem with it before I fit it up and all. But the idea is the wiring fits into this little cubby in here, right? And then this slides in here, and we fix it in here somehow. I don't know, maybe we'll bolt it in from the front, or maybe off the side, or we extend it or something. And this will kind of enclose in the wiring. I don't know if you can notice the problem already, but this piece didn't print fully. You can kind of see this, it's not a finished printing edge. We had some printing troubles with it, but it did print fully. But even if it printed fully and came all the way out to the front like I had originally designed, there's not nearly enough space in this thing for all of this wiring to come in and kind of just hide in here, right? So this is gonna have to get bigger, or this sort of pouch area, the koala pouch of our bike, if you will, is going to have to get bigger to carry all the baby electronics of our front lights and the instrument cluster and thing. So, but luckily, the piece fits in there pretty good, and I kind of like how it sits. So this might be something we can run with. The second piece was a front fairing. So I've been playing around with a bunch of ideas for front fairings, and this one was kind of where I started with, I guess. This is kind of like the first design I followed through enough to make and build. And it also has had some printing issues. I don't know if you can see that surface, but it's not good. I've got to figure out what's going on with my printer. But if we throw this up on front here, this is kind of the view up in the front that we're looking at. I'm not sure I like that, to be honest. Honestly, I don't imagine this bike looking like, I don't know, a old school 2000s, you know, dirt bike, dual sport bike. Like, because those have front fairings, these big wide old front fairings. DR650s, I think, had a front fairing kind of like this. I know the DRZs do. In fact, I'm looking for one of those right now. But keep that a secret. That's going to come up later, maybe, if we find one that we like. But I'm looking at this here, and I don't like a couple things about it. I don't like the fact that the lights stick out a bunch like this. If I were to build something like this, I would want the lights to be, you know, much more flush. And to do that, I basically have to change the entire design here. Because if these want to point forward, this piece is not angled. These sort of side pieces are not perfectly forward. In fact, they were never really intended to be so. They're just forward enough that we can, forward, flat. They're just flat enough that we can adjust the lights so that they're pointing straight where we want them to go. What that means is there's always going to be a mismatch on the front here between the lights and this sort of back edge. And we can try and hide that somewhat, maybe come out here. But then there's huge gaps, and I'm not sure if I really like that. To be honest, I really enjoy the openness of this front fairing area. So I'm wondering if I don't just continue on with this, kind of create a little cockpit enclosure area in here to kind of hold all of our crap that's gonna come in here, and then just leave this front fairing out for a while and see how it goes. Because honestly, I'm not certain how I want the front of this bike to look. And I got enough time to kind of mess with it. I mean, I'm not planning on selling this bike anytime soon, and there's still some stuff visually I want to do with it. So I have some time to come around and mess with this part later. But I know I have to mess with this, make this a lot bigger. So I'm gonna go hop on the computer, get a new one printed out, and I'll see you guys back here. Okay, so we're about a day later, a little bit more than that, and we got our new piece off the print. Here it is. You can look at the relative size. You can see that this one is significantly deeper, so I'm hoping that it can kind of create like a little bit of a wind up. This is not at all like a fairing with a windshield where I'm actually expecting wind protection. This bike is not gonna have any real wind protection for long distance trips. The idea here is really just to maybe get a little bit of wind diversion up, but mostly just create this little protective enclosure over all of our wiring. So this one obviously didn't have enough space. You can see where this one's supposed to sit. This one, you can see, sits quite a bit farther up. So I'm hoping that this gives us enough space to kind of shove all of our wires in there. And what this does actually is we have two holes, two kind of like wire management holes for wires to come in and out, and a front closure. And this front closure actually comes up and rests up on the bottom of the mounting plate here. So the idea is we create sort of like a semi-enclosed. It's not gonna be perfectly waterproof, but if I can stop like massive amounts of water from collecting in and around our electronics, I will probably do that. That seems smart, right? So let's see if all this stuff will actually fit. So what's the plan here? I probably should have pulled this off. I think I'm gonna have to install this after the headlights, because what I need then is all this stuff to kind of get crammed into here. Let's see just without this wiring. I might need to make this bigger. All right, more space. Let's go throw something new on the printer and we'll come right back. That's in my face. While we're waiting for this new update piece, for this piece to come in, and by come in I mean get off the printer, we're gonna do a couple other things. This is one of the cool things about using a 3D printer to build stuff as opposed to building stuff with your hands. You could take the 12, 24, 32 hours that it takes for a new print to come off to add or work on other things while stuff's being produced. So we're gonna finish up on front here with some of the final little pieces. First thing, or one of the things we're gonna do, is we're gonna finally add our turn signals back on. So we have these tabs over here. If you recognize these tabs, they're from our foot controls, our foot pedal mounts. Those are not gonna work out with this specific style tab, or this size tab anyway. So we're gonna reuse them so I don't have to build anything more, and use them as mounting points for our turn signals. And so luckily, these things will fit in, and I should be able to mount them right down in here somewhere, maybe just right under the headlights, somewhere down in there, I think. And just weld these little tabs on, and I can put these in, and then the wires and everything that I want that's right nearby at all will go right into our, well, not this one, but a bigger little storage piece here, and that'll all work out nice and pretty. Second, we're gonna bring you in, let's see if we can get a little bit closer look. This is our steering stuff, this is our triple clamp here. We're here to deal with this situation. So these are our throttle cables. They come from, you can't really see it, they come from up here, run down here and run back towards the throttle itself. And they are rubbing on the metal here. So I didn't do a great job of deburring it, but I think they would have this problem anyway. And their rubbing's actually cutting the outer sheathing on this. And they cut when this bike turns, it tends to rub right along, run right along this sharp edge here. So I think we're gonna get rid of that as much as we can. I will maybe put a little bit of a dip or bevel or something in here to give this thing something smoother to run on so that it's not cutting the edge, and then we'll just tape up kind of the running area so that instead of running on the sheathing, it's running on some tape when we're turning around, so that, we don't cut our own throttle cable lines. I'm gonna mark up some of this stuff and then we'll get to finishing this fabrication. All right, so we're back, and I got our even newer piece, also in black. If you remember, it's been only a couple minutes for you. It's been a day or two for me. So, if you remember, this is our old one. This was our version 2, probably, version 2-ish. And it just wasn't big enough. Like, even not putting the wires from our headlights in here, it's just not big enough to fit everything in it. So we need more space. So what I came up with is version 3 here. You can see, if I throw them up side by side, this one is significantly longer. I've added like 2 inches of space, you know, axially on here. Hoping that this volume will kind of get us finally to where we want to go. So let's check this one out. Oh. Come on. That's actually a pretty good fit overall. This front, I'm not super fan of. It's kind of like a weird hat for our front design here. I'm not the biggest fan, but kind of needs must or something like that. I need the space here to hold everything in, and well, is this stupider than the original idea of, where is that thing? It's over here. Of this. What's stupider? This. I'm not sure. I think, honestly, this is simpler. This kind of gets us to the end for now. I don't know if you guys can see from this side, I've added in some holes on the sides. So kind of the plan is to get this in here and bolt it through somehow. Maybe I'll riv nut on the inside on this wall here and here. Or maybe I'll put a bolt through and a nut and like have the nut on this side and bolt on the outside. Somehow like glue the nut down or something. But this is not necessarily required to be our last and final design. Given that we're going to be updating this thing for looks in like phase 3 at some point in the semi-nearest future, this kind of gets us done. It's a weird like Eastern European hat, but it gets us there. Now let me check this real quick. Let's put these in. Yeah, that seems to fit. Okay, so we have a good idea here. Couple things. I've kind of sized this top piece here so that it comes up and covers above the the edge here, trying to kind of create like a little wind barrier so that rain is not going to directly run into this area and kind of pool up. I've kind of designed the holes that all the wiring comes in and out of here to be directly from the floor, so water should come out of those over time without being able to come back in, because this kind of seals up against the front. But it's not perfect and there will be some water collection, so I'm trying to do that. What I'm noticing is this sort of edge here, you can kind of see this on side profile. I kind of did this to create a front. It might behoove me just to do it all the way around just for the sake of looks, and maybe I can get some sort of rubber sealer, like door sealer, or a the door trim that goes on and seals the door. Maybe I can get something like that put on here. What we're gonna do is take some of this stuff back and come up with an even better drawing. Next couple days later, and I think we have something that resembles our final piece for now on this top hat thing. And that's this in orange. Now, we did have some printing issues. You can probably see this whole thing shifted. I have no idea why we had that layer shift. But when I was looking around at this piece here, I noticed a couple things. One, I really did want to extend all of these sides up, and so that they would extend past the metal that's kind of surrounding it, give the inside here just a little bit of a buffer. So I did that, and then I also kind of figured out how I was going to attach it. So if we take a look inside here, you can see these knobs. What these are raised bosses in here that are hexed to fit an I think these are M4. I think these are hexed for M4 nuts, so that I can like glue a nut in here and it'll be hexed, and then I can just bolt in from either side. So the idea is we're gonna have nuts in here and have bolts coming in here, and we'll just kind of sandwich the metal plate in between them so that everything will kind of stay together. And I also added a couple extra fastener holes. So one of the things I noticed when putting this thing up here, or any of these really, is that they tend to tilt and rock a little bit. That's because things aren't perfectly square. So if we take these two, which are pretty much identical in terms of interior, just a couple of modifications for fastening and kind of these sides so they stand up a little bit. What happens is when this goes up on here, see how it kind of hinges and moves around a little bit? Well, I originally only had 2 bolt holes in each side. Well, that'll actually let it pivot along that axis on the bolt hole, which is not a good way to keep everything kind of secure. With 2 bolt holes, what it'll let me do is it'll let me fix it on 2 axes. Basically, it'll fix it in all 6 degrees of rotation, something like that. 6 degrees of freedom, so that all the pieces won't move around and the top hat will stay in place. So I kind of like this better, and I like the way it kind of sits up and around the metallic mounting plate here. Kind of hides it a little bit. I think that looks better. We're gonna throw this on the printer and print it out of polycarbonate and see what she looks like in finished form. All right, so we're here, and I was hoping this was gonna be the last little bit. Just spent 30 some odd hours printing this closure. You can see we got this thing wholly painted now, and I even got the lights. Yeah, you can see those. That's where our turn signals are going to sit, at least in this iteration of the bike. But there were problems. So this was going to be our final piece. This is printed in polycarbonate, and it is quite tough. So I'm actually pretty confident about the toughness of our material. It just another layer shift. I'm not certain why that's happening. I tried to fix some things, but there's going to be some looking to do for our printer here in a little bit. But you can see here we got this painted, and we also happened to paint and get all of our foot controls set up, so now those are completely done. Also, I added on, I didn't show this because it's really simple, I added on a Cox Racing Radiator Guard. Because we're not running our front fender rock protection thing, if we go off-road or even just on the road, we have much higher chances of the bike throwing a rock into things like the radiator. So I wanted to have a little bit extra protection in front of that so that I didn't randomly just put a hole in my radiator and I can't use it anymore. But I think we're going to call that video there, even though we didn't get it where we wanted to. That leaves a little bit of suspense for next time. And next time is a really exciting episode. Maybe not next video this week, but the next time you see the HyperTenere in a video, it's going to be on the road or dirt or both, and we're going to be riding it. So leave a little bit of the final assembly off camera, and you guys will get to see the version 2 completion version of this thing on our first ride video. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up soon. In the meantime, I'm going to need to get a lot of this crap cleaned up around me, and we're going to get the Doritos Locos RX-8 in here, start the real preps for that thing. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. My name's Andrew. This is another Make and Break It YouTube video. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. Stay safe out there. Keep your family safe. Wash your hands, all the good stuff. And until next time, we'll catch you later.